Hurricane-force winds, sub-zero temperatures, minimal oxygen. It's no wonder Everest has claimed the lives of over 200 people.
It's a privilege to survive this long, I suppose.
Yet the determination of the human spirit has driven a team of amateur climbers to challenge the highest mountain on Earth.
Oh, glory, going to the top.
The waiting is over.
The day has come.
The team are on their way to the summit.
I'm nervous from the day that I start these expeditions.
British climber David Tait is heading for a world record.
Mentally, I back myself with everything I've got.
But he's in a deadly race with Everest's vicious weather.
You have to skip camp 2.
And the casualties are mounting.
But if he walks, he may lose some toes. He may lose some toes anyway.
If you're not scared, then there's something wrong with you, I'd say.
"2007 is Everest's busiest year on record. It's day 34, and the mountain has already proved too much for some.
It's a cold place, and I'm not even talking about the weather anymore.
Betsy Huell's camp is off the summit team, and her dream is over.
You don't think that you've got the strength to go for the summit?
I just don't ever give up on anything. Maybe it's best that it got taken out of my hands.
She's now a spectator as her teammates get ready to leave for the summit.
In a couple weeks' time, some of these people aren't going to be the same. Something bad's going to happen to some of these characters. And even the ones that I thought I wouldn't care about, I'm starting to care about everybody. And I think, oh, I don't want to hear that David Tait didn't make it back.
British businessman David Tait is ahead of the other climbers and already on his way to the summit. He's aiming for a place in the record books by climbing Everest from both sides in one season.
Hi, here we are top of the North Col, beginning of our summit ascent. And it's a little bit windy up here. We're not going up on the ridge, which we're going to have to climb tomorrow. That's camp 2. And we're across to what is a very, very, very cold and blowy summit at the moment.
David is gambling on a weather forecast that predicts the winds will drop in 4 days' time. He's timing his climb to reach the top at the exact moment the winds disappear. There's no room for error.
I'll take it all off. I'm hot.
This is inside of the communal tent at North Col. There's the snow that we're melting for our water. Phurba.
Head Sherpa Phurba Tashi is David's climbing partner and an Everest legend. Together, they're taking on a challenge so daring it's never been tried before. The first double traverse of Everest. To set the record, they have to climb the mountain twice. They're starting on the north side in Tibet. When they summit, they'll descend the south side into Nepal. After a few days' rest, they'll head back over the mountain to complete a world first. David has been here before. He summited Everest in 2005.
When I achieved it, it was an amazingly satisfying feeling, but not satisfying enough.
He's pushing himself to the very limit of his skill and courage, and he has no idea what to expect on the south side.
Frankly, anything you've done before, you know you can do again. It's the unknown that dominates you and intimidates you sometimes. It's the second half of it. That's where generally my nervousness is coming from. And I think that mentally, I back myself with everything I've got. From here on upwards, it'll be a little bit more of a challenge. The temperature's going to drop significantly, and the lack of oxygen will start to play on people's physical and mental abilities.
At Expedition leader Russell Bryce is 15 miles down the mountain at base camp.
Look and see, are we going to go in one push or two pushes?
Turning his attention to the rest of his climbers, Russell splits them into 2 summit teams. The first half will leave tomorrow, but no one knows yet which team they're on.
I can't get everyone up and the summit on the same day, and so we've tried to work out a fast group and a slow group.
The fast team will go first.
So the first group is Rod, Darius, Fred,
and there's a surprise for Tim.
and Tim.
Last year, Tim was so slow it almost cost him his life. Ignoring Russell's orders, he was the last to leave Camp 4 and faced a human traffic jam on the roads. For Tim, being promoted to the fast team is welcome news.
Ma! Yeah, I know. I'm on a mountain. Happy Mother's Day. She tells Russ that if I don't listen to him this year and I won't turn around, or he used to put her on the phone and punch her through the radio. She's gonna tell me to turn around. So who's tougher, Mom or Russ? That's an easy one, man. That's Mom. I don't mess with Mom.
The fast team are leaving tomorrow.
I'm getting really itchy feet, and the longer I wait here, the madder I'm going.
Going up. You want to be clean when you get up to the summit.
The countdown has started, and spirits are high.
There's only so much you can do and play with in a tent. And I've done it all.
But for Russell, there's no time to relax. The weather forecast is changing, and he's worried about David and Phurba, already on their way to the summit.
South side. What side do you copy, guy?
He checks the conditions on the south side.
Just looking at the forecast, it's not looking quite so good for 16, 17. What do you feel, over?
Russell's made plans with another commercial operator in Nepal to help with David and Phurba's descent down the south side.
Missed all the second half of that. Do you want to say again? High winds have kept climbers on the south side pinned down in camp. There's a real risk there'll be no safety ropes in place by the time David and Phurba need them. Now, the weather is about to cause them more problems. Phurba, do you copy?
Russell's forecast says the summit weather window will arrive a day earlier than predicted. David and Phurba must climb faster than they planned.
Phurba, you have to skip Camp 2. If you can't do that, then 16, I think, is too windy, over. Okay, good luck and be careful as usual, over. Okay, go get it.
To stay on track, they have to shave a whole day off their schedule. They must make the 4-day summit climb in a back-breaking 3.
Everything's risky climbing Mount Everest, you know, even if it's a fine day. So, yeah, of course it's risky. It's the game that we're playing.
British businessman David Tait is in a race against time to reach the summit.
Pretty clear where we're going to get to. So, yeah.
He needs to get to the top during a predicted gap in the violent weather.
Just don't want to get hot.
Yeah.
I just hope there is some wind there, otherwise I'm going to expire, I think.
Yeah.
With him is head Sherpa Phurba Tashi.
This is the game. Get on with it.
To make the summit, they must do the climb 1 day faster than normal. From base camp, the rest of the expedition are heading up the mountain to make their own summit bids.
Let's get it on.
The day has come. Be safe, remember? Be safe. I'm nervous from the day that I start these expeditions. You
never a day goes by that you're not nervous.
Rehearsals are over. Acclimation is complete and the summit is in sight.
Magnifico. I'm here to climb mountain, not to acclimatize. So now I'm climbing.
But while the rest of the team are raring to go, Tim is already lagging behind.
I feel great with my lungs coming up here, but my legs just feel really tired. They don't feel as strong as they did when I came up before. So I definitely got my concerns about that.
Thrill-seeking has already almost killed Tim. Following a near-fatal motorbike crash, his body was rebuilt with metal. But his injuries are not the only thing slowing him down this year.
My mind drifts off a lot. You know, after 9 days, you start losing focus of the mountain. My mind always, these last few days, started drifting off to my favorite restaurants back home in America. The only difference this year is I'm taking naps on the rocks instead of the glacier.
While Tim is daydreaming, his teammates are arriving at Advanced Base Camp. Advanced Base Camp is the launch pad for their climb to the summit in just 48 hours. High above them, David and Phurba have passed Camp 2 with no time to stop. At this altitude, they are pushing their bodies to the limit.
Bring Everest down to sea level, and my kids could run up it. But it's not. It's at altitude, and it's very cold, and it takes an awful long time to actually get to the position where you can climb it. And it's because of those conditions, it's inherently dangerous.
After 9 grueling hours, David and Phurba arrive at Camp 3. They're back on track to summit in the weather window.
Have a look. That's what I look like at the moment. Camp 3, 7,900 metres. There's a little cold right down here again. There's my mate Phurba. Couldn't do anything without it. And that's where I'm going to go.
David has very personal reasons for wanting to climb Everest a second time.
What I hope is that people understand why I'm trying to do it. To raise the awareness, firstly, of child abuse that goes on around us. And secondly, to hopefully prove to other children that, life doesn't have to come to a grinding halt. When something apocalyptic happens in your early life, and things can move forward, that you can recover, and that you do have choices. You simply have a choice whether to stand up and fight or curl up and die.
After the rest of his teammates, Tim strolls into Advanced Base Camp.
Yeah, back. Great to be back. I took up the whole day, but I think everybody knows me by now. I like the in-between stuff, so I'm ready. Round 2, rematch at Everest. Bam.
5 miles above sea level, David Tait and Sherpa Phurba Tashi are leaving Camp 3.
David, going to Camp 4.
At this extreme altitude, the air is so thin they need bottled oxygen. They are about to enter the dead zone. The top 3,000 feet of the mountain, where the air holds just a third of the oxygen at sea level. Every minute they spend here, they're slowly dying. Their bodies are shutting down and digesting their own muscle for fuel. They're heading for Camp 4, where a team of Russell Sherpas are stockpiling oxygen bottles. The bottles they've carried up will be used by the expedition climbers on their way to the summit.
Nice to have on the hill with you a knife or a leatherman or something, because quite often they come with these caps on them.
Oxygen is a lifesaver at altitude, but it's dangerous in untrained hands.
Not so much a problem today here sitting in the warm, but when we get up in the cold, when compressed oxygen comes out of here really fast, cools very, very, very rapidly. So if you don't want instant frostbite, gloves, alright? If you want to avoid any grease, butter, anything like that, you get into the top of the cylinder, you go to screw the valve on, you can create a small explosion.
Lip balm especially.
Yeah.
So don't go like that with your lip balm and then go...
This just tells you that oxygen is flowing to your mask. So you want to keep an eye on that, because when you put this in your pack, you get a wee kink in there, look what happens. You're not getting any oxygen.
You have to be concentrated all the time about what you're doing. Every step, not just changing a bottle. Every step is important.
Alright.
Turn up to 0.5 we put on, is that right?
Most of the climbers have used bottled oxygen before, but it's the first time for Rod, and it may take some getting used to.
It's very claustrophobic, and you can't see what difference it makes. It makes no difference here, but I imagine it makes a big difference up there. So. Yeah, well, you can't do that, you'll die without it, so it's that simple.
Danish triathlete Mogens Jensen isn't interested in the lesson. He wants to summit Everest without bottled oxygen. But he's already failed to reach the summit 3 times.
You seem to be doing worse every year than the year before.
In some ways, I think he's a little bit deluded with his own ability. And so, yeah, I worry a lot about him this year.
He's not overly confident I can do it, and of course I disagree with him about that one, because I'm sure I can. But it's his job to worry. You know, if he didn't care, we'd have much more havoc on the mountain, so that's fair.
Climbing without oxygen is undoubtedly, from a climber's point of view, the purer way to climb a mountain, perhaps. Physiologically and in terms of danger, it's absolutely crazy. It's hugely dangerous.
And most inhospitable campsite on Earth. It's David and Phurba's last stop before the summit.
Camp 4, Camp 4. Whereabouts are you now? How are you doing, Over?
It's 2 p.m., and David and Phurba have 9 uncomfortable hours rest before they must leave for the summit.
For the Tashi, will become our very, very friend.
That's Phurba, Superman, eating endlessly, won't give me any food. This is the remarkable thing, though. Bare feet. I just do not know how. And this is me, pitiful old man, dragged up the mountain by such people as Phurba. So, as for a video diary, that's about as much as you get, I think.
David is on the toughest challenge of his life. But comparing himself to Phurba, he is suddenly doubting his own abilities.
Dave actually called me. He's telling me that he wasn't going to go over this side, and is going to come back, that he didn't feel worthy to be doing this double traverse.
Russell's persuaded David to carry on to the summit tonight. He'll make the final decision there, but the historic double traverse could be over already. At Advanced Base Camp, British climber Rod Baber is making last-minute preparations for the summit assault.
This is the calm before the storm. In here, I have got my foot warmers. Am I soft? Yes. Am I utilising what modern technology provides for us? Yes. Is that forward thinking? Yes. Do I cherish my toes? Yes.
Hundreds of climbers are heading for the summit, all aiming for the same brief period when the winds are forecast to drop. But the more people go up, the more casualties come down. Few teams have their own medics. Expedition Dr. Monica Piris is constantly on call. Solo climber Gavin Bate is suffering from HAPE, Everest's most deadly affliction.
HAPE stands for high altitude pulmonary edema. Essentially, the lungs fill up with fluid and they're unable to perform their job of oxygenating the blood for the rest of the body.
Better now?
Better now.
You went to the summit? Give it a second, sir. Okay. Don't go. Fingers okay? Toes okay?
Yeah. You know, I was kind of a snap. That guy saved my life, man. You know when you just know you're done for.
Yeah.
And he took me down.
Good.
HAPE can even hit the most experienced climbers at any time.
I've been climbing a long time, so you sort of get used to things like that, but damn, that was a hard call this morning, isn't it? Last night before I went up, I just didn't feel right. But I carried on. But then suddenly, just very quickly, I was hypothermic. I could feel the body core temperature dropping. I could feel the lethargy that comes along with it. Just completely not caring what was happening and what I was going to do. And then, of course, your marbles start to go. It's almost like being drunk, really. There's a part of your brain which knows, well, this is it. No one's going to help you up there, and nor should they. Unless you've got masses of resources up there, you go up there and with the full knowledge that if something happens, then you live with the consequences or die with them. And I thought that's what was going to happen to me this morning. I really did.
You look pretty good, considering.
It's a long walk.
Yeah, I know. Done it a few times.
Come and have a brew tomorrow.
And see us tomorrow morning.
Nice now. Okay, cheers. See you time. Cheerio.
Gavin's life was saved by his Sherpa. Last year, so was Tim's.
My friend Lakpa Sherpa. You know, you need the Sherpas. You know, without them, we wouldn't be here. Not to mention, I love their food still.
As the climbers reach the high camps, they lose their appetite, but their need for calories increases.
Chicken, cream of chicken, tomato.
Most climbers resort to high-calorie packaged foods, but not Tim.
5 dinner. The only thing Lakpa, he doesn't like noodle soup. I like noodle soup, so I can't bring noodle soup because he won't eat it. But we eat full meals the whole way up. So what I'll do is I have our ABC cook, Tashi. He's going to boil up some yak meat, and we'll make big stews. So it works out pretty good. Camp 2, camp 3. Dinner. Picture? Daddy. Oh, Tait. Oh. No. No good. So we got a little bit of a problem here. if me and Lapa get sick and there's no, we have no summit, so we'll have to turn around. Simple little mistake like having bad food or can end your whole expedition, so not good.
Russell has never lost a climber on any of his 14 expeditions, but there are no guarantees on Everest.
It doesn't matter that we try to prepare everything. Things can go wrong. Sometimes people could die.
It's 11 p.m. David and Phurba are leaving Camp 4.
Hey, David.
They're just 7 hours below the summit of Everest.
Just understand, boss.
They'll climb through the night to reach the top at dawn and give themselves as much daylight as possible for the dangerous descent. At 3:15 a.m., they reach the treacherous second step. A 100-foot cliff on the summit ridge with sheer drops on either side. Without the ladders, this route is nearly impossible. As other expeditions take their chances in today's brief weather window, crowds are forming.
Just scan, because right now, Tashi stick.
They're now just 1 hour from the summit.
Hey, David.
But David is sandbagged by the altitude.
Let me check your system. Yeah.
His body is using 1,000 calories an hour, as much as a marathon runner, but he's moving at a snail's pace. Gasping for breath, he's falling further behind Phurba. Something is very wrong.
David.
Starved of oxygen, David's vision is going, and in his confused state, he hasn't realized the cause. His oxygen is running out.
David. Come.
Phurba realizes the problem and quickly changes David's oxygen bottle.
That was awesome. I don't know how Mars does it. Yeah. Oh, that's better. I can move again.
A simple mistake this high could cost David his life. They're now on the final push to reach the highest point on the planet. 1.5 miles below, Russell anxiously waits for news.
Traverse, stop. Yeah, hi, Phurba. Hey! Hi.
Summit! Summit! David Phurba!
Well done, David. How's it?
6 a.m. 15th of May, 2007. I must say I am a little jealous. Perfect day, perfect weather.
Congratulations for your summit, and David, how you doing, David?
David is standing on the summit of Everest for the second time.
That is fantastic. But remember, David's going to get all the way down to the other side. And he's going to get all the way back up again, all the way back down here. So he's a quarter of the way through it.
On top of the world, David's doubts disappear. He's made up his mind. He's going to continue with the challenge.
Yeah, I was a little bit apprehensive there for a little while. They, at long last, decided to continue over the hill, but I'm pretty pleased that he's done that.
David and Phurba must now make their way down before the winds return. Phurba has completed his 11th summit from the north side, but he's never set foot on the south side. And there's bad news. Nobody has made it up the south side, and there are no ropes. And with no rope to follow, Phurba must ask directions. More people than ever are attempting to reach the summit of Everest. And at Advanced Base Camp, the casualties are limping off the mountain.
I know he can walk, but if he walks, he maybe lose some toes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? He maybe lose some toes anyway.
This Japanese climber has severe frostbite and needs Dr. Monica's help.
Yeah? Fingers. Bad. Fingers bad. Yeah. Not good. Maybe lose something.
Severe frostbite would mean that the affected finger had been frozen for such a long time that the tissue, including the bone, was irrecoverable. So it dies, basically, and in time will fall off or need to be cut off.
Hero, one of Russell's guides, has been translating.
His right foot is now completely frozen. Now, if we got the temperature back, then we will know how serious it is. Still alive, big pain come. Dead, no pain.
Don't feel me touching.
No?
No? Here? Close eyes. Say yes if you feel me touching. If you have antiseptic, you have first aid kit? No first aid kit. Nothing.
I'm not doctor.
Yeah, but, you know, it's cold up there, huh? You know, legs not warm enough, feet get cold, toes fall off, you know.
This climber has paid a high price for underestimating Everest.
It's at least 2 weeks before you can even begin to decide what tissue is going to be viable and what isn't.
When it's cold,
At Advanced Base Camp, LA biker Tim is watching other teams high on the mountain.
Well, about 5:45 this morning, got woken up to pots and pans being slammed, and it wasn't the breakfast call. It was other teams summoning. So the Advanced Base Camp was pretty loud this morning.
No, I've got itchy feet. I want to go now. We're getting on the weather report today. And if it's all looking good, we'll be off tomorrow morning or tomorrow lunchtime.
more people that get up there, the less people that'll be on the ropes when it's time for our summit push. Right now, there's a guy by the third step. Definitely something going on.
The climber is barely 500 feet below the summit and looks to be on his own.
Well, there's some bloke that's been sitting there for, I don't know, about an hour now, doing nothing. And that can't be a good thing. Because the longer you're up there, the less chance you've got of getting back down.
Japanese gentleman collapsed with cerebral edema, I gather. Having somebody collapse like that up that high is definitely your worst nightmare as a guide. If you can't get them, upright and moving, you're never going to drag them. Horrible as to say, there might only be so much you can do, and if that's not enough, then you might even have to leave them behind. And it's happened in the past, and it'll happen again.
Hopefully, the Japanese climber turns out to be a little better news than we got right now. Otherwise, we'll be passing him up on the ropes. That's a reality.
Nothing official or anything like that yet. So yeah, I would gather that would be the first death from the north side this year.
It's going to be on summit day when everything goes wrong and people could die. Yeah, it's a tense time. You're wondering whether everything's in the right place. This is not a place that you can make a mistake with the decisions too many times. Everything's going okay, and then something totally different that you don't expect to see, nothing to do with you, jumps out at you, and you just never know when these things are going to happen.
Just sitting here, all four of us, it's kind of nice knowing that, look to my left and to my right, the guys who are going to be right next to me on the ropes, and I feel that the team is definitely pulled closer together than how we started. And that's a good thing, because you can't climb this mountain alone.
They are about to take on Everest, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
I don't fear no man, but I definitely fear this mountain. This mountain decides whether you make it to the top or not. I've seen firsthand the effects of what this mountain is capable of. This mountain took 11 lives last year, and took a lot of body parts and toes and fingers, so yeah, I got my concerns.
The mood has changed in the last couple of days, it definitely has. And of course people are worried if they're going to come back down in one piece. It's the fear of the unknown which is probably what's revealing itself to us at the moment. But yeah, if you're not scared, then there's something wrong with you, I'd say.
Phurba, Tashi, copy. We good now?
David and Phurba have been on the summit for 1 hour. They need to get moving. They must descend the south side using traditional climbing techniques. They'll rope themselves together, and if one falls, the other must try to save him.
Phurba, Tashi, copy.
As they drop behind the mountain, down the south side, their radio signal starts to break up.
Phurba, Tashi, copy. Communication isn't particularly good on the south side, so we might not have a very good communication at all.
David and Phurba are now completely on their own. Stepping into the unknown, Phurba prays to the mountain gods. Next time, the brutal truth about climbing Everest.
If you want to go and die on the mountain, it's not the stripper's job to die with you.
David Tait's self-doubt returns.
It sounds like Dave's not that keen to be coming back.
And altitude and attitude collide.
You want to get the summit? Get your together, man.
Anybody talk to me the way he talks to me? Back in L.A., he'd be on the ground, period.